What a season it has been for the Cowboys' backfield. And the way this story unfolded is something almost nobody saw coming. When the year began, the running back room felt like a question mark, filled with uncertainty, doubt, and low expectations. Fast forward to now, and that same group has turned into one of the most fascinating elements of the entire roster, driven by two names that have reshaped the conversation week after week. Javanti Williams and Malik Davis did not just contribute. They forced everyone to rethink what this offense could be when the run game actually becomes a strength instead of a concern. Javanti Williams' journey alone feels like a storyline pulled straight from a script, coming off a difficult stretch in Denver, where production never truly matched early promise. Many believed his best football might already be behind him. The injury history weighed heavily on his reputation, especially after the torn anterior cruciate ligament that derailed his momentum and planted serious doubts about his explosiveness. Dallas took a calculated risk, bringing him in without massive expectations. And early on, it felt like he would simply be part of a rotation, maybe a serviceable option if things broke right. What followed instead was a complete transformation. From the first stretch of meaningful carries, it became obvious that this version of Javanti looked different, more decisive, more powerful, and more confident than anything we had seen from him in years. As the season progressed, his role grew naturally, not because of hype, but because the production demanded it. Carry after carry, he showed the ability to turn limited blocking into positive gains, consistently falling forward and wearing down defenses. The numbers started to pile up in a way that could not be ignored. Well over 1,000 rushing yards, a heavy workload that few backs around the league could handle, and a scoring output that placed him firmly among the most productive runners in football. But beyond the raw totals, it was the efficiency that told the real story. He was not just accumulating touches, he was maximizing them, creating yardage after contact and extending drives when the offense needed stability the most. There was a clear difference in how defenses approached Dallas once Javanti established himself. Opponents could no longer sit back and focus solely on limiting the passing game. Safeties crept closer to the line, linebackers hesitated, and suddenly the offense had balance. Javanti's vision between the tackles allowed the Cowboys to stay ahead of the chains, while his burst through second-level gaps punished teams that lost discipline for even a moment. Each week reinforced the same message. This was not a fluke stretch or a short hot streak. This was a running back who had reclaimed confidence in his body and his instincts, becoming a foundational piece of the offensive identity. While Javanti's resurgence grabbed headlines, Malik Davis quietly built one of the most impressive underdog stories on the roster. His path to relevance was anything but smooth. Practice squads, short-term deals, and limited opportunities defined much of his early career. And for a long time, it felt like he was destined to remain on the margins of the league. Injuries and depth chart shifts finally opened a door, and when that moment arrived, Malik did not hesitate. His carries were limited, but his efficiency stood out immediately. Each touch came with purpose, showing patience behind the line and enough burst to capitalize when lanes appeared. Malik's impact was never about dominating box scores, it was about reliability. Whenever he was called upon, the offense did not lose rhythm. He protected the football, gained positive yardage, and kept the playbook open. That trust extended beyond offense, as his role on special teams became a major factor in his weekly activation. Serving as a personal protector is not a glamorous job, but it is one that demands intelligence, toughness, and accountability. Malik embraced it, proving his value in multiple phases of the game and making himself indispensable in ways that do not always show up on highlight reels. What makes the combination of these two backs so compelling is how different their journeys have been, yet how perfectly they complement each other. Javanti carries the load, absorbs punishment, and imposes his will on defenses over the course of 4 quarters. Malik provides support, efficiency, and versatility, stepping in without drop-off and contributing wherever needed. Together, they gave Dallas something it had been missing: depth with purpose. There was no longer a sense of panic when rotations changed or when the game plan shifted. The run game stayed alive, functional, and dangerous regardless of who was on the field. The coaching staff deserves credit for recognizing how to deploy both players effectively. The run schemes evolved as the season went on, mixing inside concepts with counters and outside looks that played to Javanti's physicality and Malik's decisiveness. This was not a static approach. Adjustments were made week by week, and the backs responded by executing with discipline and confidence. The offensive line fed off that rhythm, and the entire unit benefited from a ground game that could control tempo and dictate terms. There is also a mental component to this story that cannot be ignored. For Javanti, this season represented redemption. Every carry felt like a statement. A reminder that injuries and past struggles do not define a career. His body language reflected a player who trusted himself again, who ran with urgency and purpose instead of hesitation. For Malik, every snap was proof that preparation matters. When opportunity finally arrived, he was ready, not overwhelmed. And that readiness changed the trajectory of his career in a matter of weeks. As the Cowboys navigated tight games and critical moments, the presence of a dependable run game altered decision-making across the board. Drives extended, clock management improved, and pressure on the passing attack eased. The offense felt more complete, more adaptable, and more resilient when things did not go perfectly. Javanti and Malik were at the center of that shift, not through flashy moments alone, but through consistent execution and trust built over time. The season did more than elevate individual performances. It reshaped expectations for the position as a whole. What once seemed like a potential weakness turned into a strength that opposing teams had to respect. The backfield became a source of confidence instead of concern. And that transformation did not happen by accident. It was earned through resilience, preparation, and the ability to seize moments when they appeared. And as the story continues to unfold, the foundation built by these backs continues to influence every layer of the Cowboys' offense, setting the tone for what comes next. As the season wore on, the ripple effects of that backfield stability became more visible every single week. The Cowboys stopped feeling like a team constantly searching for answers on early downs, and started looking like one that could dictate pace. That shift matters more than most fans realize. When an offense can trust its running game, play calling opens up, tempo becomes controllable, and pressure shifts onto opposing defenses. Javanti Williams became the engine of that change. His ability to consistently turn first and second down carries into manageable situations transformed how Dallas approached entire game scripts, especially against disciplined defenses that thrive on forcing long yardage scenarios. There was a noticeable confidence from the offensive line once Javanti settled into his role as the clear lead back. Linemen fired off the ball knowing that even when a lane was not perfectly clean, Javanti had the power and balance to make something out of it. His yards after contact were not accidental. They were the result of violent finishes, low pad level, and a refusal to go down on first contact. Defenders felt that punishment accumulate over for quarters, and by the second half of games, arm tackles simply stopped working. That physical toll created cracks that Dallas exploited repeatedly, especially late in games when controlling the clock became critical. What separated this season from previous years was not just production, but sustainability. Javanti did not fade as the workload increased. Instead, his efficiency remained steady, even as defenses made stopping him a clear priority. That speaks volumes about conditioning, vision, and trust between the runner and the scheme. He pressed holes patiently, waited for blocks to develop, and exploded through gaps when they appeared. Those are traits that do not show up overnight, especially after a major injury, which makes his resurgence even more impressive. It was not just about being healthy again. It was about evolving as a runner. Behind him, Malik Davis continued to reinforce why depth matters at the running back position. His role may not have grabbed headlines, but his contributions were crucial in maintaining rhythm and balance. In games where Javanti needed a breather or where specific packages called for a different look, Malik stepped in without hesitation. His decisiveness allowed plays to hit on schedule, and his ball security ensured that momentum was never wasted. Coaches value players they can trust implicitly, and Malik earned that trust through consistency rather than flash. Malik's understanding of situational football stood out as well. He knew when to fight for extra yards and when to secure the ball and live for the next snap. That awareness is often the difference between a drive continuing and a drive stalling. On special teams, his responsibilities demanded the same discipline. Protecting the quarterback in high pressure moments requires recognition, communication, and courage. And Malik handled those duties with the same calm approach he showed on offense. That versatility kept him active week after week and cemented his place within the team structure. The broader impact of the running game also extended into the passing attack. Play action became more effective because defenses had to respect the threat of the run. Linebackers hesitated, safeties crept forward, and throwing windows widened just enough to make a difference. The offense no longer relied solely on precision and timing through the air. It could impose balance, forcing opponents to defend every blade of grass. That balance reduced predictability and allowed Dallas to adjust on the fly when game flow demanded it. There is also a psychological edge that comes with knowing you can run the ball when everyone in the stadium expects it late in games. With the clock winding down and the defense selling out to stop the run, Dallas still trusted Javanti to finish drives. Those moments send a message, not just to opponents, but within the locker room. They reinforce identity. This was no longer an offense hoping to survive critical situations. It was one prepared to embrace them as conversations began shifting toward the future. The performances of both backs inevitably raised questions about roster planning. Javanti's breakout season placed him in a complex position within the league landscape. Running backs live in a volatile market where production, durability, and age are constantly weighed against financial commitment. His tape this season strengthened his case significantly, showing that he can handle volume while remaining efficient. At the same time, teams across the league remain cautious, knowing how quickly circumstances can change at the position. Dallas will have to balance reward with realism, a challenge that defines modern roster construction. Malik Davis represents a different kind of decision point. His value lies not in star power, but in dependability and flexibility. Players like him often shape winning teams quietly, filling gaps and stabilizing units when chaos hits. Retaining that kind of depth can be just as important as chasing marquee names, especially over the course of a long season. Malik has shown that he can be trusted when called upon, and that trust carries weight in building a sustainable roster. Beyond contracts and projections, this season reinforced an important truth about opportunity in professional football. Talent exists in many forms, and paths to success are rarely linear. Javanti's journey was about reclaiming belief after adversity, while Malik's was about persistence when recognition seemed unlikely. Their stories converged in a way that elevated the entire offense, reminding everyone that preparation meets opportunity in unpredictable ways. The coaching staff's role in this evolution cannot be overlooked. Adjustments in run design, situational usage, and workload management played a major part in keeping both backs effective. The offense adapted as the season unfolded, leaning into what worked and refining details rather than forcing rigid philosophies. That flexibility allowed players to play fast, confident, and decisive, traits that showed up repeatedly on film as the Cowboys moved forward. The lessons from this backfield will influence how the team evaluates talent and builds depth. Success did not come from a single blockbuster move, but from calculated risks, patience, and a willingness to trust players who earn their roles. The run game became a statement of identity, resilience, and adaptability, shaping how opponents prepared and how games were won. And with that foundation firmly in place, the presence of Javanti Williams and Malik Davis continues to echo through every offensive decision, every late game situation, and every discussion about where this team is headed next. Before we roll on, subscribe to Cowboys Wire News, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Your support keeps the Dallas Cowboys updates coming. Tell us what you think in the comments. Patrick Mahomes has once again captured the headlines, but this time, it's not for a spectacular play on the field or a record-breaking pass. Rumors are swirling after the Kansas City quarterback made comments that sent shockwaves through the NFL world. Sources close to Mahomes suggest that the star signal caller has expressed a surprising interest in the Dallas Cowboys, igniting a frenzy among fans and analysts alike. The comments, made during what appeared to be a casual media session, caught many off guard. While Mahomes has always been linked with loyalty to Kansas City, his recent statements hinted at curiosity about exploring opportunities elsewhere. Specifically pointing to the Cowboys, insiders say that Mahomes praised the organization's culture, fan base, and potential for championship contention, fueling speculation that he could be open to a blockbuster move. This revelation has triggered a whirlwind of reactions across social media. Cowboys fans have flooded platforms with excitement and anticipation, imagining the possibility of pairing one of the league's most electrifying quarterbacks with a roster that has long struggled to secure consistent championship success. On the flip side, Chiefs supporters are bracing for what could be a monumental shift in the NFL landscape. Analysts are debating whether Mahomes' comments are a genuine expression of interest or simply strategic maneuvering, designed to send a message to both his current team and the broader league. While no official negotiations have been reported, Industry insiders suggest that Mahomes' remarks could open the door to high-stakes discussions behind closed doors, if true. A move to Dallas would instantly alter the balance of power in the NFL, creating one of the most formidable offenses the league has ever seen. Executives are reportedly watching closely, understanding that Mahomes' potential shift could trigger a cascade of trades, draft picks, and strategic adjustments. For now, the football world remains in suspense. Every word Mahomes utters is dissected for hidden meaning, while fans across the country dream about the scenario of the superstar quarterback donning the Cowboys uniform. Whether this is the beginning of a dramatic twist in NFL history or merely a playful tease from one of the sport's most charismatic figures, one thing is certain: Patrick Mahomes has once again made headlines, and the speculation shows no signs of slowing down. That's a wrap from Cowboys Wire News. For breaking Cowboys updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Tell us your take in the comments.